One of these Porsches cost me around $10,000. The other one is worth almost $80,000 after everything I've done to it. Going into this, I thought the comparison would be completely unfair, but after owning both, I ended up learning something I honestly was not expecting. So here we have my 2018 718 Cayman S. This car has a full downpipe, full exhaust, it has an ECU tune, it has aftermarket suspension, different shifter cables, third air intake, and I think that's about it. But overall, I'm about $80,000 into this car in terms of purchasing the car and parts, not counting general maintenance, but just aftermarket parts and purchasing the car. I am about $80,000 into this car. Of course, this car being a 2018 has ridiculous handling. It handles amazing. It drives great. It takes corners like nothing else I've ever driven. It has a ridiculous amount of power. Whether before I did all the work or after I did all the work, regardless, it's still a ridiculously fun car, especially it being rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual. Really can't go wrong with this small wheelbase, rear-mounted mid-engine, so these, of course, are ridiculously fun. Now, of course, there being a 17-year difference between the two cars, the Cayman is a lot more refined. The tech is a little bit better in here, but that has an aftermarket screen and that has CarPlay and this doesn't, so arguably that's better. The newer steering wheel, you do get a 6-speed manual as opposed to the 5-speed that the Boxster has, which is nice. Aside from that, it's pretty bare bones in here. So, of course, outside of the interior and the features that it does or doesn't have, you could just say the Cayman is objectively better. Now, originally when I bought this car, it was purely supposed to be just for content. I didn't expect how much I'd actually love the car. Of course, it being a convertible was really fun. It's my first convertible. It does have a 5-speed manual, which is actually really fun. I never had a 5-speed, but it's really cool in this car because this car isn't that fast. You actually get to use all 5 gears, whereas the Boxster gets to 5th gear pretty consistently when I'm driving it. Of course, the interior is a little more outdated than the Cayman is. Like I said, there's almost a 20-year difference between the two. Big differences, of course, you have a 5-speed as opposed to a 6-speed in that, but both have their benefits. Steering wheel is a little outdated, of course, 20-year-old car. This has 80,000 miles, that has 20,000 miles, so 4 times as many miles, so you can have some more wear and tear. It does have an aftermarket screen, this one specifically, which actually has CarPlay, and that one doesn't, ironically, so this is arguably a better screen. Of course, both these cars have drastic differences between them. So when it comes down to it, this car having $80,000 into it, and this car having $10,000 into it, which is actually the better Porsche and the better bang for your buck. Now here's the weird part. Though the Cayman is objectively the better car, I do find myself grabbing the Boxster key more often. What's so great about this car is I'm taking side roads right now. I'm going 40 miles an hour, and for the most part, I can do this in 2nd or 3rd gear. Whereas in the Cayman, I'd be in 1st gear the whole time. I'm already in 4th gear. Now I am shifting a little bit earlier, but that's also because I don't want to be flying through and, you know, making it loud in these neighborhoods that I'm in. But generally speaking, you can go through every gear in this car and still have a lot of fun. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I just tend to jump in it a lot more. Of course, the fact of it being a convertible and it is summer right now, it's really nice to have. We don't have a convertible top down because it doesn't sound great on camera. It sounds great. If you want to rip the car, it's great. Got a school zone coming up. Actually, it's not a school zone. All of this is done on private roads, and this is all track driving, and this is all generated by AI as well. But it's so nice. It drives really good. Of course, it's not as tuned in as the Cayman is, but it's still plenty of fun, especially on these turns. It handles great. It doesn't leave you wanting more. I mean, of course, I would like mine to be a little bit louder, but that's just me with my cars. But it doesn't leave you feeling like, you know, it doesn't have enough power. It's still plenty of fun, especially with the convertible top down. It feels a little bit faster because you have the wind coming at you, which is great. And it's pure enjoyment. It's pure raw engine noise. It's not turbocharged, so there is that sense of reliability with these, with it being a flat 6 and it being naturally aspirated, as opposed to it being a turbocharged, non-naturally aspirated flat 4 like the Cayman is. Of course, like I said, drastically different cars. They do 2 drastically different things. That's why I have them. They're 2 completely different feelings. But this still takes turns great. It doesn't leave much to be desired. Would I like it to have more power? Sure, but then you would probably lose the 5-speed manual, and you would lose the enjoyment of going through every gear, which I'm not able to do in my other manual cars that I have or have had. They're all 400 plus horsepower, or they're just ridiculous amount of torque, where this doesn't have any of those. It's just a pure, naturally aspirated flat 6 in a tiny little convertible car. This isn't that powerful, but you're going through every gear when you drive this car. You're getting to 5th gear every time you drive this car. And I guess what I'll also say about this car, above all, is it's surprising. I didn't think I was going to like it this much. It still has that flat 6 noise, and this is a base Boxster, not the S. So this is the 2.7 flat 6, as opposed to, I believe, a 3.2 or something you would have gotten in the S back in the day. I guess the whole question is the Cayman 8 times more fun than this? Meaning, since I'm $80,000 into that and $10,000 into this, is the Cayman actually worth that $10,000 deficit? Now, of course, the Cayman is drastically different than that car. I'm already not used to this one because it's way more reactive. The clutch is way more precise. The shifting is way more precise. Of course, like I said a bunch of times, there is almost a 20-year difference between these cars. There is a, 15-year difference between generations, between the 986 and when the 718 came out, something like that. It's probably 15 years of technology difference between these two models specifically. And they still make the 718 now. The 718 is still the newest Boxster Cayman generation you can buy nowadays. So, of course, this car, you have a lot more confidence driving it. This one specifically is a lot faster, of course, but even stock to stock, you're talking 217 horsepower to 350 horsepower in an S, as opposed to a base Boxster. And mine specifically has a lot more power because, like I said, it's tuned, it has a full exhaust, it has a downpipe, more cooling systems than this average one would have. It is lowered, it has a different shifter and stuff, so it does shift a lot faster, it's a lot more precise. Obviously the power is a lot quicker, it's a lot more reactive, and overall top speed is better, handles better. But again, even stock to stock, everything I'm saying kind of correlates. But the Boxster cannot do that. And that is the drastic difference between what this car can do and what the Boxster can do. It doesn't matter if you put $50,000 in work into that Boxster, it will never put the power down that this car does, purely because it's turbocharged. When you're talking turbocharged cars, you can just build a lot more power with them a lot easier because then you unlock a lot more tuning capabilities. Again, we're talking a 2.5 liter turbocharged flat 4 as opposed to a 2.7 liter naturally aspirated flat 6. Now, sound is very different. That's all subjective. I personally love the way the flat 4 turbo sounds, but I know a lot of people don't. But I think it sounds awesome, especially when it's built like this. But of course, the flat 6 is second to none in terms of just overall engine noise. I mean, that is probably arguably one of the better sounding engines ever made. Definitely the best sounding 6-cylinder ever made is Porsche's flat 6. I would argue that this is probably one of the best sounding 4-cylinders ever made is the Boxster flat 4. Now, when I say 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder, I'm talking modern cars. I'm not talking about the Lancias of 50 years ago. Keep in mind, all driving that I'm doing is on a closed track, and everything here is generated by AI. This car is amazing. This car is great. Is this car really worth 8 times more the price of the Boxster? You know, purchase price of the car plus mods, about $80,000 into this car, whereas the Boxster is costing me about $10,000. So obviously, huge difference in cost. So we'll get back to the house and we'll decide, is this really worth 8 times more money than a 986 Boxster is? So I guess this is the part where I avoid saying which one do I actually prefer. And if someone told me I could only keep one, I would keep the Cayman. This car does hold a lot of very dear memories to me. I've had it for the longest. I've had it since I was 19 years old. I'm 23 now, so I've had it for almost 4 years. I've poured so much time and effort into this car. This car has been with me through every single aspect of my life. With my adult life, this car has been there for me. I know it's a car, I know it's a piece of machinery, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I have an emotional connection to this car. You would have to offer me 10 times what it's worth for me to sell it, and I still might say no. But if you ask me which car surprised me the most, this car has surprised me tenfold than what this car surprised me with. I knew this car was going to drive good. I knew I was going to love it. It's a newer Porsche. I knew I was going to have the time of my life driving. This I didn't expect much from. And when I tell you this blew away my expectations, it's not even close. This is definitely the most surprising car I've ever bought in my life. Now, at the end of the day, both these cars and every car I've owned have taught me different lessons. And what these two cars have taught me is horsepower doesn't always equal the most amount of smiles when it comes to cars. The fastest car isn't always the most fun car, and the most fun car isn't always the fastest car in the garage. Obviously, these are two drastically different cars, but they do have a lot of similarities. They come from the same bloodline. They are both these small Boxster type of cars. A Cayman is just a hardtop Boxster. And like I said, when it comes to cars and vehicles, more horsepower doesn't always equal the most fun. As we know, with my bikes as well, very similar situation, very different, very similar situation. We have my Honda Grom and my Ducati Panigale, which are two drastically different bikes, but both give me different smiles and different amounts of happiness in different forms. So this is my little review and my little comparison video of the two cars. I hope you guys really enjoyed my video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching.